Hi, my name is Mackenzie, and fun fact about me, I have been single for 7 years. I know, try to contain your shock. And in those 7 years, I have been on many dates. Some good, some bad, and some just a funny story. These stories are sometimes then shared in private conversations with family and friends. And I assume that my dates do the same thing if they feel so obliged about me, but never have I ever been posted online by someone telling others to stay the F away from me. And I can imagine that would be horrifying. I personally would be very confused, as I am an absolute delight to be around, but if I ever did or said anything untoward, I would also want to know about it and try to make amends somehow. But if your name is Nico D'Ambrosio, your reaction to this situation is going to be next level. A month ago, Nico filed suit against 27 women, 1 man, Meta, Facebook, Patreon, and GoFundMe, and is seeking $75,000 in damages. He is suing for defamation, emotional distress, and invasion of privacy, just to name a few. This all stems from a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? Now, this Facebook group originally started in New York City in 2022, but there are now over 200 groups comprised of 3 million members and locations spanning across the United States and other countries. The name kind of speaks for itself. The purpose of this group is, quote, a place for women to protect, support, and empower other women. So if you are a woman or a non-binary person who is dating men and you think your man is cheating, or if you're just seeing red flags, or if you're going on a first date and you're really nervous, you can post about him in these groups and receive feedback. These groups are run by volunteers and have saved countless women from toxic and dangerous situations. I am in one of these Facebook groups and have been for a few months. I've only posted anonymously, but it's been extremely helpful in getting the answers that I'm looking for. And I'm not going to go into detail, but let's just say if this group had been created earlier in my life, it would have saved me 2 long, miserable years. I have seen women post men that they are concerned about, and the comments either say, this guy has been posted before, here's a link, or I am also seeing this person, please message me. Or I went on a date with him and it was awful. I just saw a post yesterday that said, hey guys, saw this guy in a dating app, he is for sure married and has been posted here before, be aware. Gross. And you are allowed to post a first name and a picture, and that's it. I have not personally seen any doxing, bullying, harassment, or uncalled for behavior, but I can only speak to the group I'm in, as I am not in every single one of the AWDTSG groups. And according to the Facebook group rules, that is not what these groups are for. And if that happens, those posts get quickly removed. Which is actually initially what happened to Nico's post that he is complaining about in his lawsuit. On December 3rd, 2023, an anonymous member posted a picture of Nico in the Are We Dating the Same Guy Chicago group. She called him Nick, and in the comments underneath, she said they went on a date, but she ended up blocking him, and even after that, he texted her from another number calling her a slew of names, which she provides screenshots of. This is like a screenshot of a screenshot, and is the only picture I can find of this that's been released. So the only words I can make out from his text to her are ugly, whore, bitch, and lovely. Under this anonymous post, a woman said that previously she had slept with him, but he ghosted her. Another woman said the exact same thing happened to another previous poster from a month ago, where the person rejected him and he ended up calling her a bunch of the same names. But I don't have screenshots of that post. Now, this is the type of guy that this group is for. If you are degrading women simply because they don't like you, you should not be on dating apps. You should be in therapy. Now, I don't know exactly why Nico was alerted to this Facebook post, as it is a private group and part of the rules are you are not supposed to screenshot or share any of the information in there with anyone outside of the group. But unfortunately, there are many men from Reddit who make it their mission to make life harder for women in any way possible, including posing as women and sneaking into these groups to relay any information to their incel brethren. So I'm assuming he had a friend in this group who told him about it, and then once he found found it, he personally contacted all of the women who had posted about him and asked them to delete their posts. Initially, the post was removed, but then uploaded again later. And then he tried to reach out to Facebook to no avail, which brings us to now. He alleges that the posts in the group led to personal humiliation, mental anguish and suffering, emotional distress, stress, anxiety, lost earnings, and other financial loss. He also alleges that the statements in the Facebook group were known to be untrue and have affected his job and reputation. This is where I want to talk about something called the Streisand effect. The Streisand effect is the attempt to hide or obscure any information that is published, but it ends up backfiring and makes the information even more well known. This happened when Barbra Streisand tried to get a photo of her Malibu mansion suppressed, which just ended up bringing more attention to it. And that is currently what Nick/Nico is doing. Nick is trying to silence this small group of women who had bad dating experiences with him, and now the entire world knows that he sucks. That is fucking hilarious. How dare you share the screenshot of the things I said? Now everyone is gonna know that I treat women poorly. That'll show them. It is very apparent to me by his actions right now that all these things these women are saying about him are true, in my opinion, but many men on the internet have come to the conclusion that he's not in the wrong because women bad, women lie. Like this podcast I had the misfortune of coming across.
So this guy has been posted on such a Facebook group many times to the point where he's suing for defamation.
Yeah, he's a player.
In a sense, yeah.
Career player.
So in his case, according to his complaint, women use the Chicago-based group, already the same guy, to say, quote, he's clingy and goes to them after sleeping with them. He's been posting it before. The poster said he sent her a slew of texts calling her names because she didn't want to spend the night with him.
I already don't trust them because you can't clingy and you ghost them after having sex.
Yeah, or you cut them out if they don't sleep with you.
Well,
Don't work together.
different brands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one's a simp and one's a player?
Different MOs, man.
Yeah, that's weird.
That should be the reason why he wins, though, right?
He should win. They're blowing up his whole game but it's not consistent.
If he gets a down ass
Or,
judge.
okay, what if he's a simp to a really hot girl and he's a player to a girl?
Yeah.
See?
I get it.
Same guy, two different experiences. That makes no sense. You f him on the first date, and then you can't get rid of him because he's annoying, but then you want to talk shit about him and still talk about
It's
him.
because it's an amalgamation of everybody's complaints. It doesn't make sense in the end.
They can't wait to go on a date with you, and then they turn on you the next day and they go, oh, he's clingy, he's so f***ing weird, and he won't call me back.
Is it because they got dropped after? So then they have to turn it around like, oh, he hit it and quit it, but like, I'm top 10 Plus, so there's no way.
I already don't trust them. Why? Because they're women? That is so based. So this group of men is initially really confused about how one woman could be ghosted by Nick while the other claims harassment by him. And that alleged harassment is something they completely blow over throughout this entire episode. I've never heard of this podcast before, but it's called Just Kidding News and they have over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. And I just hate podcasts that don't do their due diligence. This first guy is the one giving them all of this information, and they are reacting to it, which is normal for a podcast setup. But the first guy who has the information never corrects them when they make assumptions or statements about the case that straight up aren't true. Saying you don't believe any of the women is a matter of opinion, and even one of them mentions it's entirely possible for this man to present himself as one way to one woman and another way to a different woman. But they continue to use the argument throughout the episode that he can't possibly be both of those things, so they have to be lying. They also keep saying that he's a player and applaud him for manipulating all these women, which is a really weird pronunciation of the word sociopath.
And the sad part is the fact that all these women came together and have such different definitions of the guy. That means he's none of those things and he's all of those things because he's choosing who he is with every girl he f***s. So you have to give him a little bit of credit. That's pretty
Hate the game.
Yeah.
He's a player.
So plaintiff and defendant engaged in consensual sexual intercourse on the evening they first met.
Ooh la la. Well, I mean, they're actually sleeping with 27 women and one guy.
So are they just heartbroken after he like bounces?
Yeah, they're being butthurt about it.
Well, what's the one guy for? He slept with a guy too?
That's a good question.
The guy's like, he made my asshole so sore.
Skipping over their blatant homophobia, they start speculating over whether these women are simply heartbroken, and that's why they're posting in this group. Again, ignoring the claims the women are actually making, which is that Nick has been exhibiting really scary and threatening behavior towards them. And that's why he was initially posted in the first place. But because one of the defendants slept with him, suddenly in their heads that turns into all 27 of these women have slept with him, which is not true. They repeat this several times and they never correct themselves.
The fact is they're all sleeping with them, right? So it's like, well, that doesn't make it okay, but to me that makes it questionable. I'm like, does no one see the red flag?
You're still bulletproof from a guy like this if you just don't do that.
Yeah, don't sleep with them like so quickly. He's like 27 girls and one guy.
Well, why is
that means his body count is pretty successful.
The thing is that I find weird is that if 27 people found each other, that they had all this guy, what good has this thing done if they already him?
That's true.
They were
Does it make sense
Yeah.
if none of them him and they're like, I went on a date with this motherfucker and he was crazy.
It's like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It's like, this is just what you like to do. You like to connect on a guy that you hate and you won't him. It's like a thing that, it's like a fun thing to do. It's not a preventative measure of like, we're gonna keep girls safe. It's like, no, you're not.
I love how the guy with the long hair is so close. And he goes, yeah, that would make sense if what they're talking about is just going on a date and saying, yeah, this guy's crazy. That's what happened. That's why the post was made. That's literally what happened. And then the guy sitting next to him is like, yeah, what good did this post even do if they've already had sex with him, which they didn't. But apparently it's done a lot of good if Nick claims that this actually affected his personal dating life and that women don't want to go out with him because of what they heard in this group. I don't know if that's actually true and if he was really turned down because of these women sharing their experiences, or if he's just pissed about the posts existing. I'm gonna go ahead and guess the latter. We only know of one woman who commented under the post claiming that she had slept with him previously, and all they hear is the word sex and their brains just melt into this collaborative flash mob of women are whores. They're ignoring the screenshots these women have of Nico berating them after they had blocked him. And I've watched enough true crime to know that if he feels this comfortable acting this way with a woman he just met, he's probably not the nicest person to be in a relationship with either, in my opinion. Besides also joking that all of these women are on their periods, they continue to lose the plot and forget that he is the one suing them, not the other way around.
What's worse than this are the guys that go on dates and then get food and then walk out. That's worse than this.
Yeah,
you're right.
He's scum, but he's level 1 scum. He's not litigation scum.
He's just your typical.
This
I don't think he should sue either.
They're getting
I think they should
dick
all
out
just
of
shut
it.
Yeah.
But then afterwards they're like, this guy's weird.
He is suing though, so he's like a little bit scum.
Yeah, but then that I think is
But
also
how-
stupid.
So the guy in the beanie says he's scum, but he's not litigation scum, when he's the one who lawyered up, not the other way around. These women are not suing him for ghosting them or even for the alleged harassment. They were talking to each other in a private Facebook group to try and protect other women from being targeted by this man. They didn't come after his job or his livelihood, and he was not supposed to be aware of this post. And when the other guy reminds this guy that he is in fact suing them and that is scummy, he's like, yeah, well, they're both stupid. Stop giving men microphones, yeah. No hate to this podcast in particular. I have only seen this episode, but they summarize the arguments I have seen on the internet in defense of this man, and it is mostly from men who do not have all of the information, and instead they just make a lot of assumptions and run with it. So let's move on to a man who does actually know what he's talking about, because the question in all of this is, does this guy have grounds for a lawsuit? Are these posts by these women considered slander? I am not a lawyer, but this guy is, and I think he summarized it really well. His name is Steve Leto, and here he is explaining defamation.
So if you speak about somebody, it's slander. If you write about them, it's libel. And if I say, boy, I met this person, they're stupid. They're stupid. Stupid's an insult. It's not really measurable. It's pretty subjective. Okay, how stupid is somebody? If I say I met this person and they're a convicted criminal, really, that would imply they have a criminal conviction. Do they have a criminal conviction? If not, that's measurable, provable, and false. And so you got to be careful what you write about somebody. And I've seen stories pop up where somebody went on the internet and wrote something about somebody and they didn't know where that line was and they stepped way over it. So again, insults, okay. Factually false statements that harm the person, not okay. But a good lawyer is going to look at this and go, okay, you can't go after people who simply insulted you or said unnice things about you unless they're measurable and objectively false and harm you, okay? So, if you said, hey, this guy's a trillionaire, well, I wouldn't really hurt you to be told that you're rich when you're not. But like I said, to say something like, no, he's a convicted criminal, that would be wrong. Or if somebody posted and said, yeah, I went out with him also, and let me tell you about it. And if they made up a story about going out with him, that'd be false also. And presumably that would hurt his reputation because the point of this group is to catch cheaters. And if a woman said, I dated him when she didn't, I believe that'd be actionable here. I believe it would be. So it'll be curious, as we like to say sometimes, to see what happens here.
So it's not defamation if it's true. If I say something that you don't like, but it's a provable fact, it's not defamation. If I say something you don't like and it's just my opinion, that is also not defamation. And although I searched and searched for these court documents, I could not find them posted anywhere publicly. I'm assuming I could probably get access to them if I paid for them or filled out a form, but I don't want to do that. In my opinion, and just from the screenshots I have seen, these women were relaying their experiences with him and said they didn't like him. That's not a crime, especially when they have screenshots of him saying these horrendous things they claim that he said to them. That is also not a crime to post those screenshots of those text messages. Whether you think this is ethical or not is a different story, but legally, he probably doesn't have a case. In fact, this case was already thrown out and promptly refiled by Nick. I found a really good article that summarizes all of the technical issues with this case and how it was filed, and there are a lot of problems according to them. The website is TechDirt, and this was posted by Mike Masnick. He says, people in a toxic subreddit who were cheering on the case, including at least a few commenters who appeared to be closely involved with it, kept insisting that the case would be a winner, even if all it did was make the women being sued spend a lot of money and be afraid to criticize dudes online again. Of course, that assumed a few things, like the case wouldn't get immediately thrown out, which it did. Lawyer Ken White, who described this as being one of the most incompetent complaints he'd seen in a while, had predicted that whichever judge got the case was likely to toss it out before any of the defendants needed to do literally anything, because the lawyers, who seem ridiculously out of their depth, messed up the jurisdiction question by claiming diversity jurisdiction to get it into federal court despite being about state laws, but not fulfilling the requirements for diversity in multiple ways. The biggest problem, but again one of many, is that you only get diversity jurisdiction if all the defendants come from a different state than the plaintiff, but in the very complaint they admit that at least a few defendants are also in Illinois. So basically, when this case was thrown out, his lawyers refiled and then claimed in the new lawsuit that the location of the defendants were unknown, even though previously they stated they knew they were in Illinois. So from what I just read, he's trying to get it filed in federal court, but it's not applicable to this case. It's a lot of legal jargon, but I think it's really interesting. And according to this article, Nico is also trying to claim that Facebook created the content in question, which is silly. Your Honor, the defendant's arguments are silly. I think I rest my case. Also, in a swift form of karma known only to Taylor Swift, Nico D'Ambrosio was convicted of tax fraud. Incredible. Slow clap. Ladies and gentlemen, you've done it. You are the dumbest person so far to come out of 2024. And remember, that's not defamation. It's just my opinion. This happened the same week that he filed his lawsuit, so I don't know if they are connected in any way, but I think it might be just a coincidence because I don't know what his tax returns have to do with the suit he filed. I could be wrong, but I think the girlies are already winning without having to lift a finger because they did nothing wrong. Also, if you're wondering how GoFundMe or Patreon plays into this, it's because the creators of the Are We Dating the Same Guy group have been raising money to create an app, and now they are raising money to pay their legal bills. This GoFundMe is titled Support AWDTSG Women Being Sued by an Angry Man, and they've raised almost $37,000 out of their $20,000 goal. This was started by the founder of the group, and her name is Paula. She says, I'm also one of the 27 women who have been personally named in a defamation lawsuit in U.S. District Court in Chicago that has garnered national attention, along with some of the current and former moderators. I originally didn't want to make a big deal out of this, but with the continued press coverage about it, it's turned into an issue that needs to be addressed. We plan to aggressively fight the lawsuit and hope to set a precedent by showing that these groups are made to keep women safe, that lawsuits meant to stifle free speech are not acceptable, that coming after volunteers for trying to help other women will not be tolerated, and to show that some individuals will cry defamation even about true statements. All contributions to this campaign will be put towards counsel for this lawsuit, and any remainder will be put towards counsel for any future similar lawsuits, any other legal fees associated with running these groups, or the app I'm building to expand upon them, and or will be held in reserve as a war chest to help deter future frivolous lawsuits against our groups and those who help run them. I absolutely love that she calls it a war chest. God, I want to be her friend. She then says, PPS, I'm also going to include a link to the hundreds of testimonials from our members and about how the groups have helped them or how much they appreciate the groups. And then there are indeed hundreds and most likely thousands of women that these groups have helped. And in my opinion, they are a net positive. And guess what? They also have Are We Dating the Same girl groups. But men don't seem to be up in arms about those ones. You know why I'm not worried about the girl groups? Because I'm nice to people. And if I ever treated anyone badly on a date, then I deserve to be there. I don't care if I ever get posted because I know who I am and how I conduct myself. And like we've discussed, unless it's a provably false statement, it is not defamation. People are allowed to have opinions. And in my opinion, Nico is a sad, strange little man who got caught being disgusting, and instead of changing his behavior or apologizing to these women, he decided to lead the Reddit troops of those trying to silence women about their bad behavior. In conclusion, if you don't want people to speak poorly of you, do not behave poorly. I really enjoyed researching this topic. As you can see, this is my first non-Mormon related video that I have ever made on this channel. I asked you guys like a couple months ago if you guys wanted to see non-Mormon related content, and most of you were super down. So let me know what you think or other topics you would like me to cover. And don't you worry, I am not dropping talking about the Mormon Church, as they are still continuing to fuck around and I intend to help them find out. Everybody say goodbye to Trixie and Rexy. Thank you for watching and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.